Look at verse 5. God, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Jesus Christ to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. Now, there's a Christian tradition, it's been around for centuries, called Calvinism. Calvinism is this idea of it doesn't matter what I do or what I don't do, God has either predestinated me to be saved or to be damned, and I can't change it. So I can do things, but it's not going to change the outcome because it has been predetermined, or I have been predestined to one or the other. So because of that doctrine, that we in a Latter-day Saint perspective would not agree with that Calvinist conclusion, because we would preach based on what we understand from scriptures of the Restoration, that there's an incredible amount of power wrapped up in this idea of agency and its counterpart, accountability, that it's not predetermined whether I'm going to go to heaven or go to hell. It's predetermined that I have lots of options and lots of choices. So what would happen if you took verse 5 and instead of saying, ooh, I don't like that because it talks about predestination, what if we shifted away from speaking about verse 5 in the singular context? Instead of seeing it as God's talking about me or you as an individual, what if we looked at verse 5 from a whole group that has become one perspective, which seems to be the thrust of the epistle to the Ephesians? Now all of a sudden, would anybody disagree from a Latter-day Saint perspective to say, no, we don't believe that there's any group or family or sets of tribes of people who have been foreordained or predestinated for salvation? I think we would say, wait a minute, the house of Israel was the group that was predestinated. If you're going to be saved, that's the group you have to become a part of. You have to either be born in it or adopted into it. Now, with that perspective of a unity among that diverse group across all parts of the world as we move forward, let's read verse 5 again, not thinking of an individual, but of a collective group. Having predestinated us, or all of us, unto the adoption of children by Jesus Christ to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. Now all of a sudden you say, oh, that's a beautiful verse. And now you tie in what President Nelson said, anytime we do anything to help anyone make and keep covenants on either side of the veil, we are gathering Israel. We are bringing people into this predestinated family of Israel. That's the only place where salvation is offered. That is the predestinated group for heaven. But there's this agency factor that's attached that allows us to choose whether we enter into that family or not.